Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah Leanne.
And how are you, Miss Suzanne Joy?
I am very well, thanks. Shall we dive into today? It is really good. This is the 51st Gene Key, and we're talking about the Gene Keys written by Richard Rudd. And this is all about the initiative to initiation key.
Yeah, it's about, let's just talk about the shadow because that's where I'm really familiar. I think we're all very familiar with agitation.
Yeah. So there are three states that Richard talks about, and I'm just going to introduce them really quick. So the first state is the shadow, which is very human. It's all about agitation. Oh, the nitty gritty. And then out of agitation comes the gift, and the gift is initiative. And then the third acidic state, or the essence of who we are, is the awakening.
And in Richard's words, he actually, if you can imagine it energetically, awakening is huge, right? And agitation is huge. And you can't get to that without the I mean, you need to have the human experience of the agitation to get to the awakening. But the pathway is really narrow. And that was, for me, it felt so true. And are you ready to get started? Because I'm ready to dive in.
Yeah.
I've been hanging in this one before it even started. And I'm like, if the best way that I can introduce it for me is to notice when you first start being still, or you first start the meditation process, you first allow yourself to drop in and really feel everything that's going on. Really notice what's going on in your body, really notice what's going on in the world, just and be with it without the desire to get up and change it or give up or run away or deny it. And so, it's April. I think they invented the April 15th tax deadline here in the United States so that I could personally get my spring cleaning done, because I will do anything. I will garden, I will do all the laundry 3 times, but tax prep, I will it's like running away, really. And so I just notice how when I'm sitting with something that I really need to do, that I've committed to do, that I'm really believe in doing, but I don't want to do it, how I have judgment around it, how I want to push myself through to complete it, how there's all this. What if I just sat with my apathy, my desire to do anything but, and enjoy what I want to go do, versus in the space of fighting with this. I don't want. It's like this little kid. I don't want to. Don't make me.
Well, this key is all about thunder.
And that's how I've been feeling. It's not been pretty. It's not pretty here.
Oh goodness. I was feeling into this key, and I had an epiphany this past weekend. When I get in my agitated state, or even like frustration, and I get snippy, and I dropped in, and I says, "What do you need? What do you need, Suzanne?" And I'm like, I need adventure. That's what I need. And I went back to my gene keys, and I realized that one of my keys is my SQ, and this is talking about the spiritual quotient, and I'm a line 3, and it's all about adventure and pleasure. And so when I'm living out of alignment with myself, that agitation occurs. So that was curious. And so,
But see, you wouldn't have had that awareness if you didn't get to sit with the agitation. So this is where I'm like,
Yeah.
what if I could just love on that agitation versus there's so much like, you should be over this. You should have it's like, it's the shoulds, it's the um,
Mm-mm.
spiritual bypassing of get over yourself and just do
Oh,
all of that. And I'm like, what if, because my purpose has to do with acceptance and love, but my pearl is all about ecstasy and delight. So I'm like, okay, if I'm not in ecstasy and delight, then I want to like, okay, I'm off purpose. And I'm like, no, acceptance means you get to be with
get to
what
be
is.
with it. Right.
Yeah. And it is not fun for me because to me, everything I've heard about getting stuff done and productivity and all of those things that I used to teach, for God's sake, in the corporate world, now it's like, oh, so what if, one of my dear friends, you know her, she said, maybe you just need deep rest.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, like fiddle in the garden, make some soup. I just kind of followed what I wanted to do. And
Yeah.
it didn't even open the computer.
It's called dancing.
Oh, and
Oh,
that would be me. So, so, but so the other mantra that I've been playing with is can I make progress with pleasure? Or can I have pleasure with progress? And
mm,
as I went to go on a walk the other day, I was like, why do I feel like I can only have pleasure or progress? And so then I realized that I have made those opposite ends of the spectrum or opposing forces. And I thought, wait a minute, there can be a way to enjoy that, correct? So that's what I'm playing with.
nice. Well, in agitation, the physiology of this key is the gallbladder.
Does that have
And
to do with cleansing?
well, that's what I was thinking is, the gallbladder's job is to store bile and helps with digestion. And really, when I think about it, if we're storing stuff, much like another body part, you may be storing anger, emotion, irritability. So make sure you don't hold on to that. That's not something that you want to hold, but you can definitely, I'm feeling like you witness it and accept it, but you don't need to hold on to it. So I have some practices to move that emotion through so it doesn't get stuck in the tissues.
Okay. And there's what comes to mind for me is we want to immediately get rid of it versus can we soften into it and first of all let it be there, because I think the first thing we do is we make a mess, we want to clean it up, we get a headache, we want to take ibuprofen, it's like we want to fix things. And what I'm getting from this gene key is this is can you sit in the midst of it, in the shit, in the bile, and go, okay, this is part of my humanity. This is part of me living a life and accepting all parts of it. So it's yes, and then I want to choose not to hold on to it. But to me, holding on to it is the constriction, it is the holding down, it is the
right.
Versus softening into the love and the trust and the awareness of this is what right now.
And this is in the ring of humanity. And we've been talking about several of these keys during the past several gene keys.
And we've been really in it.
Yeah. I mean, when you think of the whole ring of the shadows, just listen to these: self-obsession, opinion, control, constriction, struggle, agitation. But humanity is ready to move through. And as we accept that that's just a part of who we are, the gifts that emerge from that are naturalness, farsightedness, authority, acceptance, perseverance, and then the initiative.
Okay. And what I really appreciated was he said how much of this is not just human experience, but it is planetary and stars, and all of the movement in the universe has been moving from one place into another. And we're in the process of moving from that agitated state into a softer, more open. We're kind of moving through that energetically on a huge scale.
Right.
So when we understand that it's not just ours, we might be, and especially those of us that are very sensitive, we're feeling the collective anxiety. We're feeling the planetary shifts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel so good. And I was thinking yesterday as I was doing laundry and watching it, because I have a clear door on the top now, I can watch it. It's very exciting. And watching the agitator doing its work. And I'm like, okay, so this is agitation. It's doing the work. It's like spinning this dirty clothes to allow them to release. Right? I just laughed. I was like, okay, hello. Thank you.
Yeah.
So go ahead and share some of the practices that help us through this agitation, which I know breathing is huge.
Breathing is huge. And much like when you might scream, let me tell you, we've all been there when we want to scream our heads off, right? But there are some toning practices that you can use to move it through that can help. And so one of the things that I was thinking about when I was feeling into this agitation is using vowel sounds that are very staccato, and much like when you think of martial arts, ha, where you're moving energy through, but it's she, sha, sho, shoo. You are moving that energy out. So it's not stored in your cellulars. And a lot of times, because people can then play the replay over and over again, you don't need to hold on to agitation. It's there to fuel you for something else. And it's agitating to initiate you into something new.
So for me, I think of it as a cue.
It's a cue or a catalyst.
It's like a cue card, like, oh, there's another way to be here, but we need it because we forget.
Right.
So instead of trying to go,
right. I do want to bring up that there are he reflects on two different types of states in this key, in the repressive and the reactive nature.
Oh, yes, please.
And when you think about the repressive nature of agitation, there is anxiousness in it. There's a lot of because they let fear rule their life.
Yeah.
Right. And so sometimes they typically shut down and they turn inward. They just kind of, it's a wallowing or a coward. It's known as cowardness. This is kind of like what the cowardly lion really wanted in that Wizard of Oz, right? He wanted courage.
Versus being like not acting like he wanted, like he wanted to be.
Right.
And he was held back by that fear.
Right.
Okay.
But the thing that what we realize in this repressive nature, and this goes for each and every one of us, the only way in is in and through the breakthrough. And you've got to realize that only you can rescue you. This is your heroine story. And so
Yeah.
This is nobody else's. No one else is going to do this except you.
And this is where we got to stop looking outside for the
Right.
guru that's going to give us our answers, because our
Right.
answers,
Are all inside.
yeah.
All inside. So
Sorry,
what
everybody, if you think we have any answers, because we don't.
Nope. But we know what's true for us, and that's how we help guide people, is to help you remember your own innate wisdom.
Wisdom.
So,
Mm-hmm.
the reactive nature is very hostile. It's harsh, it's rage, it's futility. They typically are very high risk takers. And they sometimes just flail out without any agenda. And it's kind of like what I picture is a whirling dervish that it doesn't have any regard. This state has no regard for humanity. Even though it's in the ring of humanity, it's like a,
well, it's kind of the not pretty side of humanity. And
right.
and what I'm noticing on television right now, if you go to search the movies, there's a lot of the ugliness of humanity being displayed, which is really hard for me to watch. I mean, I know it's there. I'm not pretending it's not there, but I don't need to be reinforcing it by consuming it at nighttime before I go to bed.
So the most important part for someone that might be experiencing this reactive nature is to channel that energy into creativity.
Yeah, and you're going to bring that up.
Yeah, you channel that energy into creativity, and that's where you find your fulfillment. It's putting it to use in a good, fertile way.
And
as opposed to just
if you talk to a lot of singer-songwriters, and it's why a lot of our music was so angry the last few decades, and how it's kind of shifting more into a more loving, more awake kind of state. But for decades it's been what's fueled the visual artists, the musical artists, the poetry, the writing, well, obviously we're seeing it in our videos and our movies. So it is a way of, it's also like you were saying, the toning. It's another way for it to work through us.
Right.
As is, do you want me to do the mudra?
Yeah.
So you take your index finger and you put it behind your thumb, so that your thumb and your other, I can't see my thumb here, but 4 fingers are up and 1 finger is down. And by doing this, you can actually, you can feel the warmth in your body, and you can feel the anxiety moving through and out. But more importantly, you can feel your power returning to your belly. So interestingly, this is coming down. I want to.
Yeah. And this initiative, this is about following your true vocation. And it's interesting that the initiative, when we study the Pearl sequence or our prosperity sequence, that is the initiative from our vocation to our culture. And that's when we again come into ourselves and are following our true vocation. And in that quiet and that stillness, we hear our heart speak. So this is about really following your own inner territory and really diving into that space and living in cultivating. I love how he talked about cultivating awness.
Say that again.
How can we cultivate awe?
Awness.
Awe. Harvesting and cultivating awe, because living on this planet is freaking amazing.
And how little we pay attention to what's amazing. I mean, there's the fact that there's a new thing now, what is it, the science of good and happiness, and all of those different podcasts. And centers at University of California, Berkeley. They're all doing all these studies about happiness. And one of them is take an awe walk.
Yeah.
Journal about what brings you awe every day.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
that simplicity and
I love that.
the inner certainty. And I like how he said, sniffing out the awe. You sniff it out. You look
gotta
for
look
it.
for it. Yeah. I mean, and I think very often we look around and we're not really looking around. So this is more of a sensing around, like feeling into. And I think we rely on these, which I'm having problems adjusting to my new glasses. And they're blurry sometimes. So that's not very helpful. But if I take these off and just close my eyes and feel into it, I can find so much more awe.
And when we go through initiation, sometimes it can feel really dark. And so just recognize there is light at the end of the tunnel. We're just going through a process.
And what is it? This too shall pass.
Yes.
Be still and heal. I think of all these prayers that I learned as a child that are like, this is part of it's like the night, and then the sun rises. It's every night it has to get dark, and then the next morning there's light. So I am so excited because it gives us, as opposed to fighting it, I am wanting to learn how to relax. And he keeps talking about softening.
Yeah.
And trusting and opening. And that's how awakening happens. And I'm like,
yeah. And he actually says, Richard says, when you are truly being yourself, you unlock the magical force of genius that belongs to you and no other. So it's really important that we have our own initiation into our own genius.
And we can have lots of initiations, right?
This isn't like I'm done.
Oh, thank you. I'm not done. Are you sure? So this one about I know that my taxes will be filed on April 15th, if not before. I mean, the last couple of years, it's actually been before, which is really nice and gives me some space. But this year, I think with the eclipse and some other stuff going on in the middle of April, I feel like my attention's been going in different directions. So I'm like, that this will get done. So just, can you have fun in the process? I don't know. I'm like, can I have fun and make progress? Can I be creative and play
Let's sniff out that awe.
Oh my God, that would be a brand new state for me. So I invite everyone to join me on that. Can we play with lightness in the dark? Can we stop holding so tightly into, I want this to go away, I'm ready for this to move on, blah, 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 because that isn't serving us. And what happens is when we relax and say, I see you, I feel you, I know you're going to move, just like the clouds moving across the sky. And I want to appreciate the awe of this moment. What a difference.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
so
what else you got?
So then we're moving into the acidic state of the awakening. And what does that mean? Like, really, what does that all mean? And so it's called, the chapter is called The Thunder of Your Giving. So once you really understand who you are and what you're here to give, this is where you're cracking open your heart and giving even further. And you're blossoming into, and it's always, you've had it all along. This isn't, something that's added to you. Remember.
Okay, Wizard of Oz all over the place right here. Okay.
Right.
It's been within you all along.
Yeah. But it makes everything about how you live simple and clear.
Which makes my
Yes.
shoulders relax. Thank you.
And that's where I love playing with Richard's words, because his contemplative state, different than meditation, contemplative lets it roll, or as he says, roll around with the words. And he says, just find something that inspires you and run with it and lean into it, apply it, try it, luxuriate in it, just dance in it, and see what is birthed out of it.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't light you up, why are we holding on to all the stuff that's not lighting us up?
Well, that's a whole nother ball game. But I mean, energetically, that's one thing. And then physically, it's another thing. And and I think that's probably why spring cleaning is what it is, because there's all this rush of new energy coming in. And it's like, oh, this doesn't fit me anymore.
Right.
Physically, energetically, emotionally. Like, I don't want that anymore. I don't want those books in my house. I don't want those clothes in my house. I don't want. So I been playing. I had a whole drawer of electronics, and I was like, I have 6 or 7 different earbud microphone jack things. And so I'm going to try them, because the last 2 pair I used when I was traveling, only one worked. And I was like, well, that's ridiculous, because I can't even get the full experience. So I'm laughing because I have so many others. So throw those away. I'm just laughing. I'm just time to clean house. So awakening is, to me, I feel like we have all experienced it when we have those breakthroughs, but even appreciating the little ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That we're like, oh, that just fell away, because the resistance fell away,
He says it's out of the tunnel, and delights shock. It's like the shocking of your delights. It's about self-honesty. It's about authenticity. It's about you just expressing your true essence. And it's really interesting that it's thunder over thunder. So it's like it's here. This key is innately designed in our DNA to ignite us.
Well, I think of thunder as being such a shaking thing. Like, we had a huge storm last night, and the one lightning bolt that hit really close to the house, I mean, shook the house. We thought we'd lost power. And but it was, we had turned all the lights off because we were going to bed. And then, but we turned on a lamp and we're like, oh my God, we can't believe it, because we thought for sure the power thing behind us got hit. But man, when everything shakes like that, I love it, because it's like, okay, here's a wake up call. Boom. So I am delighted that we have, I don't know if we've finished the Ring of Humanity, but so many of these keys feature in my chart.
Yeah.
This has been like, I feel like we're focused on so much of the stuff that I'm so familiar with. I can't wait to get into something that doesn't feel so personal. This one feels personal.
So I do want to just read the acidic states of these of the Ring of Humanity, now that I've spoken about the shadow and the gift. So, being, omniscience, valor, universal love, honor, and awakening. Wow. And the awakening is bringing us all the way back to our innocence.
It almost feels like, that feeling when you're a kid and you wake up every day and you're so excited. It's like everything falls away. All of that adulting that we've been doing kind of falls away, and we're like, oh, this is the
Cultiv-
reason why I'm here. Yeah,
cultivating awe.
I love that. Okay, that's my new
Okay,
mantra.
we are going to try and create, no, not try to create. It'll just happen. Creating gross national happiness. That's
I
the
love that.
GNH.
I love that. Gross national happiness and international, global. How about gross
Yes.
global
Gross global.
happiness?
Yeah, the
Um,
GGH.
so I would really like, let's see, behind the thumb. So I would really like to close with just allowing ourselves to release the anxiety by just allowing it to be there. Anxiety gets stuck and then it gets wound tighter and tighter. And if we just kind of open the lid, all of the, it can like pop out, like I think of those stupid cans where you've got the thing in there and you take the lid off and it goes. So if we can open and let it all unwind, oh, that feels so much more spacious. That was the other word that I kept hearing, is creating the space. Because that's how awakening, it doesn't happen like spring. These bulbs and things don't happen if you don't have space for the tulips to come up, right?
Yeah. And I do want to invite people that if they are interested, we are going to be hosting monthly circles to contemplate and to be in presence with one another and in community. And so,
And play,
and play is part of it.
sacred play and embodied practices of, I'm going to be playing a lot with prosperity this summer. So join us,
Play.
dance with us.
Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
Yes. Take good care until our next time together.